In 2011, Zeitz laid the foundation stone for his company, International. The goal was for every human being to be able to own gold. What was once a one-man show is now a worldwide empire of companies that generates an annual turnover of more than 100 million euros. But Harald Zeitz has even bigger goals. A gold-based means of payment, which is crisis-proof and will revolutionize our financial system. His mission was initially just laughed at. Today, he is the market leader for innovative gold products and blockchain solutions.
Looking for freedom from the system.
Hey, good morning. Look, Brother Khonsu, man, what you and Mr. Dalco just said is I could talk for 2 hours. It's so much going on in my head. I'm trying to make this very simple. I don't want to hog the call. But I got to say, man, that 15 minutes that you gave this morning, that 15-minute period, I said, this brother is becoming an elite teacher and communicator. I mean, we all work at honing our craft and our skill, but truly, I am amazed at your ability to communicate the way you do. And that 15 minutes that you gave in that pre-call, I was just sitting here going, I said, this dude is teaching. And if you're sharing that kind of information with your team every day, man, you are a legend, absolutely, in the absolute making. I was blown away.
Khonsu, Hotep, Atum did a master class in networking and personal development in 13 minutes. 13 minutes, I timed it, 13 minutes. Man, we need to have a longer discussion on that. I'm glad I'm driving this time, so I didn't take notes, because if I tried to recap it, I'd be on here for about 3 hours. That was amazing, Khonsu. Thank you, brother, for doing that. I'm hoping everybody's plugged in, because the power call starts at 10:45. When we jump in and we give some illumination on some of the things we heard, that's just the icing on the cake. The power call is that pre-call that our amazing moderators chose out for the team as the mindset, the mastermind for the day. Now, I need to say this to you guys. Listen, I was focused on this very heavily for the last week. Mr. Betts will tell you I've been calling him because I've been a little concerned, not in a bad way, just in a good way, as we get bigger, it gets harder to congeal the team. It gets harder to hold the group together. Just a little bit of history. There used to be 2 webinars per day in Carrot Bars International. And when they stopped doing it, the teams, they splintered. Not a bad thing. It's just not the best. The teams splintered. Wealth Builders Worldwide became prominent. Synergy Gold Team became prominent. Brian McGinty's team in Australia became prominent. There's about 6 or 7 prominent teams that make up the global Carrot Bars International family. And once that splinter occurred, it's almost impossible to bring it all back together because the teams are so large. We do a really good job on Thursday night with the Empower Call. That's kind of the collective. That's everybody globally. But Wealth Builders Worldwide became a cohesive team under the leadership of Ty and Val Best. That's why I make such a concerted effort to send text messages through all of my WhatsApp groups and say, I hope you're on this call. You need to bring everything to the center.
That's right, y'all. Bring it to the center. Good morning. Great golden morning. This is Brother Khonsu, Hotep, Atum. You are now watching the unofficial pre-power call warm-up show, and I'm about to have a very, very special guest revisit me. So I believe this is at least the second time he's been on my platform, and every time he comes, he does nothing less than just blow everybody away, including the host, which is myself. And he was having a great stream this morning. I mean, this brother's been on a roll. You can see this brother as much as you want to almost. I mean, he was on a stream with Tammy Morrison last night, and Sherry Brown and Dante Taylor, and oh man, he went in on domestic violence. And then this morning, he was dropping an elite lesson. Oh man, I almost missed my own stream watching his lesson. And so, you know, I wanted to kind of build off of the lesson that he was already building on. And so that's, of course, what we are going to do today. So let me go ahead without further and bring in Brother Eric Ture Muhammad. Come on in, sir.
Ready for Evolution. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for having me. How we doing, Brother Khonsu?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's better now, that I got one of my family on here, so we can
That's
really
right.
turn this thing up. And I mean, so today, like, let's talk about the title, passion, dream, and income. And you started to really to build on that a little bit last night. I'm sorry, guys. I see I had my screen on the wrong screen. Here we go. But yeah, so could you just elaborate a little more on that for us? Could you talk about where you were about to go with that? Because I know that you kind of, your time almost was out for that particular stream. So, but it seemed like you were really about to go in, and I was like, oh man, the stream's over. Dang, he was just about to hit us with the jewels. Could you tell us a little more about how they they intersect? Because I noticed you did a drawing where the passion, the dream, and the income had intersected like three circles. Could you break that down for us?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll be honored. First, let me just say the platform that you have, Brother Khonsu, is amazing. And it's such a benefit. You can never have enough community. Never, ever have enough community. Unity. See, because when we all operate out of one accord, then it allows us to thrive successfully, and we grow. Our intellectualism grows, our arts and entertainment and nuances, everything grows, and it grows into an amalgamation of, it's like the epitome of what a civilization can be. And in our world of wealth building, we understand the power of community. We understand the power of establishing a culture and the power in defining ourselves within a culture. But in order to do that, you need a framework. So that pretty much segues into what you're asking our discussion to be today, because you are a tremendous part of that. Your platform is a tremendous part. Your moderating on the power calls all serve as a tremendous part in that. And we're just honored, man. I'm honored to be here as always. Now, I will say this, passion, dream, and income. In the world of wealth building, they have a synergy. And when they work correctly together, it's a chemistry that can be enjoyed beyond measure. So I'll give you a couple of terms. I didn't get a chance to use them in the stream. They were coming to my head, but what is passion? Passion can be defined as a strong and barely controllable emotion. I mean, just barely controllable. You're so fired up behind a thing or a desire, you're so fired up that you can barely contain it within yourself, and you have to find a way to release it. It's a feeling that's so intense, it produces intense enthusiasm, it compels you, it drives you to do something, enjoy it beyond measure. Yes, sir. And so then you have to coming to my head, what is passion?
There
I don't know
seems
what I
to
just
be-
did.
Yeah. Maybe
passion.
unmuted your Facebook.
Okay,
maybe.
I'm sorry. So I heard me answering me.
Right. I was like, whoa, we got two Eric Terrays on here. Man,
That'd be a
if I
problem.
thought one was dynamic, whoo.
So you have passion, but the dream, a dream is some people look at it as a series of thoughts or images or sensations, while somebody sleep. But to dream in our world is to shoot for a star or shoot for stars. Just accomplish something beyond your existence, And so the aspiration is so cherished that married on to a passion, it can take off, it can manifest. But you need a vehicle by which the passion operates with in order for the dream to be realized. And that's where the income comes.
Wow. The way that you painted that together, I mean, it's just, it's so simple. And I think that, that's what's great about what you do, Brother Eric Ture, is you're able to take these terms, and I didn't mean to cut you short. I just wanted to kind of touch on this while I can remember, is you're able to take these terms and these concepts, and you're able to break them down so that they can kind of be spoon-fed to us, because some of these stuff is really, it can be really perplexing, and yet you have such a great way to make it simple. And a teacher used to tell me that if we can't teach what we know to, a 5 or 6 year old, then we still don't know how to teach the information. You know, and I think the way that you convey your information, that's one of the greatest lessons that I'm able to take and to learn from you, brother, in addition to the knowledge that you're bringing. But I'm sorry, I just had to step in and say that.
Well, all praise to Allah. I appreciate that. But, you know, it comes from a willingness to embrace the successful.
Mm.
It comes from a willingness to embrace the accomplished dreamers. Because the accomplished dreamers will always keep a dream ahead of them. The accomplished dreamers will give you a roadmap by which you can trod. They'll give you rungs to a ladder that you can climb. They'll give you steps to a stairwell that you can run.
Wow.
You know, to achieve what your dream is so that you can do as they do and move on to other dreams. So I want to give big ups and thanks and appreciation to our CEO and founder of Wealth Builders Worldwide, Mr. Tyrone Best, our senior partners, Mr. Michael L. Dalco and others, because they are successful people. And what allows us to keep this information or this teaching, if you will, simple, is to follow the simplicity that they've laid down. The system is so simple, where you save, you earn, and you learn.
Right.
It is so simple. That's the basics of it. That's the basis of the wealth building. And people don't lack money. People lack knowledge. This is a world of abundance. A God, whatever we call him, that God created a creation of abundance. There's more air than you can breathe. There's more water than you can drink or swim. There's more land than you can build homes on.
That's right.
He created abundance. I lived in Conakry, Guinea, West Africa, right? And I remember back in maybe 1999 or so, you know, you were probably 3 years old, but there was a wonderful brother and teacher. May God be pleased with his soul, Brother Alambe Brath, a beautiful Pan-Africanist. Brother Alambe Brath, and of course, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who's still with us, thank God. And they were sharing with me and my father about the Y2K crisis, what was perceived as the Y2K crisis.
Right.
And said, look, you got to get the word out there. You're amongst the contingent of youth. You got to help them to understand that trucks won't be able to get to supermarkets and stores will be closed and this will happen and that will happen in that kind of confusion where time is interrupted.
Right.
Because we were moving into a new era or century.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at him. I said, in all due respect, I live in Africa. You know, I'm in an underdeveloped country if you allow everybody else to define it. And if I get hungry, all I got to do is walk out of my yard and a chicken will walk in and say, hey.
That's right.
You ready? Because everything and everyone was created in their purpose. Man, even the chicken was African because it was born there.
Right, right, right.
So, all right, so simple. Mr. Best encouraged us to save in gold and offers us the tenets by which we can do it and why it's important to do. And all the leaders follow suit. So I follow that roadmap, MAP, Massive Action Plan. And as I follow that map, I begin to see the success that I can't accomplish with Pookie and Nupnuk and them. Because as close as we are, as down as we are for each other,
yeah,
we were both, all of us were striving or suffering from the same things, lack. And so I can't go to them and they teach me how to wealth build. I have to go amongst those who do it.
Right.
I have to immerse myself in the trainings. I have to immerse myself in the knowledge. I have to separate myself from friendships.
That's right. That's right.
Until they come along, because everybody will.
Right.
Because this is an economy that's crashing, and in that crash, somebody has to be a beacon of light. Somebody has to be able to wave a flag of option and opportunity. Somebody's going to have to remember, man, carrot bars is out there somewhere. Who was it that told us about carrot bars?
And you know, I just wanted to plug in with something you said that was so amazing, is that you spoke about having to like be selective with friends. Like some of our
Dreams,
friends. I'm sorry.
income. When those three things are put together, your knowledge base, not just the dream or the goal, but you have the vehicle by which you can produce it
Right.
and continue to produce.
Yeah, I was just saying how you were talking about being selective with friends and having to get rid of some friends. And I just want to say that it can make the world kind of lonely because everybody who we thought, were benefiting us and we were benefiting, we realized that some of them can't benefit us the way that we need them to. So it doesn't make them not good people or less of a decent person or less of a friend, but it means that in my interpretation, it means that we need to find some new friends. And so what happens is it's kind of like stages you go through. And so for me, the first stage was very lonely. I'm like, man, I don't have any friends anymore because I really can't relate. None of them are taking the path that I'm taking. But then what happened was, I hate to say it like this, and I hope none of my friends that are watching feel a certain kind of way, but once you move them out the way, now you open up space for new friendships with people that can benefit you in the way that's necessary in order to reach your financial goals and to reach your true momentum and your true potential. So as I let go some of my other friends who I dearly miss, I've started to replace. Well, some new friends have started to replace them. Like they're all business owners. I mean, literally, like they own decent sized businesses, car dealerships and stuff like this. And at first I'm like, why? How am I becoming friends with these people? Well, I'm realizing it's part of what is destined for me. And you have to, be around other people, not only that have financial literacy and are reaching for freedom, but other people who understand the system from a different angle. They don't see only being a worker for the rest of their life as a solution. And that's what I like about business owners. At least a lot of them do have a plan. Some of these business owners are in that other quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, where they have many people working for them. So I'm not just talking about like self-employed. I'm talking about people that have employee staffs of 30, 40, even 100 people. They have the mentality already of, leveraging the work of others. So when I bring them a system like Carrot Bars, where, the system that's based on leveraging the efforts of others, they automatically understand. They're like, oh, this is a great system. And see, so they can understand, they can build, they can help to articulate some of the information that I'm learning. And it's like we have something in common immediately that is more important than, like you said, my homie John and this guy and that guy, because it's like even though they have been great friends, and I say nothing bad about them. There's been plenty of friends who, to the best of my knowledge, have never, backstabbed me or did anything wrong, yet I'm still no longer, and I still consider us friends. If I see them, it's gonna be nothing but love. But I don't communicate
you're just not
with
in
them
those
anymore.
circles.
Right.
You're just not in those circles. And see, this is what happens when you have goals. When your passion is married on to your dream, you fuel now. You continue to fuel it by those that can help you get there. And it doesn't make them any less your friends. It doesn't make them any less family.
Right.
It's just that you know that you have a moment in time. So you're born, that's the start. But when you die, that's the period. But in between that, it still requires massive action to be relative long after you're gone.
Right.
You want to be remembered, but for what? Once you understand it, there's only certain roads that will get you there. And it doesn't make them any less your friends, any less your family, any less love. You just know that you have a finite time in which to create infinite glory.
Right.
You see? So that leads to another point in the whole passion, dream, and income. You have to know your target audience. You have clearly defined a target audience. Why? Because you found where desire and opportunity meet. You're already dealing with the businessman and woman. You're already dealing with the corporations and the companies who have a mindset to achieve as well as be there, to exist long after. Why do people spend so much time branding their names? Why do people spend those time branding the name of their companies? Because they desire for it to be the juggernaut, but not just the day, the week, the month, but for years, for centuries if they could. You see? So you're married on to those people. You found a community, and that community serves as, some people say niche, some say niche. It all depends, like potato, right? But you find your NICHE.
Right. No, I agree with you on it. If we look at some of the greats, let's look at, say, Malcolm X. That wasn't his birth name, but he branded himself as that. And meanwhile, generations later, we're still teaching our children and studying about this hugely important figure. And I just wanted to, to say that the brand doesn't even have to be your actual birth given name. As my brand is not my birth given name, but it is just as important to me, this name. I don't want people to think that it's something I took as a nickname. This was, it's deeper.
Well, there's some thought in me, and there's a thought put into that name, brother. I can see that.
It means together. Those terms together means a man who travels in peace.
That's
right. And that's it's not necessarily who I was when the name came, but it's who I would like to be. And that's what I wanted to tell everybody on here. Don't worry about who you are. We all know we need improvement. Focus on who that you would like to be, because in so doing, you're going to end up becoming that person. I don't like the concept fake it till you make it, because I don't like faking anything. But I'll tell you, the little bit of truth that I find in that is this. If you continue to pretend to be your best self, resultably, you start becoming your best self. Your subconscious starts to be like, hey, this doesn't feel bad to me. This is working or something. And it programs, and you start becoming that pretend best version of yourself that you put on. And so now I practice being the best version of myself as often as possible. And little by little, it's starting to rub off on me. I'm starting to become, I don't have to try. I'm like, wow, I did great with that audience. I didn't, I was so polite and everything went the way I wanted to. And what's funny? I forgot to pretend that time. But then when I left, I realized that the pretending is becoming reality. And that's why I think it's so important about visualization, about dreaming, all of that stuff, because, see, I'm going to take it to a metaphysical level. I believe we're actually time traveling and getting a glimpse of the lifestyle of abundance we're supposed to have. And that's why.
Let me share this with you.
Yes, sir.
Why the term fake it till you make it does not apply here as a result to people who dream.
Right.
This is called faith it till you make it.
Ooh, that's right. That's right.
Faith it. Now, check this out. You cited Malcolm X, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the power in what Minister Malcolm represented, he was showing through his teacher what you can accomplish from a free mind. He didn't come through the traditional strain of education where he got the degrees and he got the jobs, and he worked the factories, or he went to the service. All those traditions were bursted when he decided he was not going to be defined as a slave. Dr. King determined he was not going to be defined as a slave. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad could not be defined as a slave. My father, Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, could not be defined as a slave.
That's right.
You see? So they saw where they were going. They saw where they should be, and they lived in it. See, so yourself, myself, other wealth builders, we are on a road that the success, you can't quantify it, because gold is a God value. You can't quantify it. So what's going to rain down on us and those who walk this road is almost inconceivable. But what you can shoot for is what you know you hope for. So you face it. We can't live in the past to accomplish the future. We cannot set our now by relishing in yesterday. We look at where we are now, what we want, and we go for it. We live in it. You see, and that's why this road is so selective. Can I close that with this particular point?
Sure.
I sat with a gentleman just a few weeks ago. I shared this with Mr. Best and others when we were in Memphis this past week together. And the gentleman asked me, man, how come everybody can't see this opportunity in carrot bars? When will the bridge finally be walked where nations, organizations, entities all meet the common man and woman who has this opportunity, and everybody help everyone? I said to him, I don't know why this thought is in my head, but brother, I see in my head all that were before me with thieves and robbers. I said, let me share this. My son and I were traveling, and we watched surveyors on a roadway trying to build a sidewalk. And we watched it over a series of days, and I continued as my son was traveling. But look what happened. There was a thoroughfare with 4 corners, right? But only 3 of those corners could be inhabited by pedestrians because the 4th one was so overgrown with debris and woods that a path had to be made to make it safe for people to cross in this intersection. It's a massive intersection.
Wow.
So the surveyors came out, they had the little scopes, they did their thing. Then and they had little markers, little flags on wires in the ground. A few days later, a bulldozer came and literally dug out the path that they surveyed. It was so deep, so wide, so long, and they dug that out. I'm gonna fast forward it, then a steamroller came and crushed all the rock, rubble, and foundation that was under what they dug out that they couldn't dig up. They grounded it smooth. Then somebody else came with more markers, and they put those markers down, borders look like squares. Then something else was laid down there. It looked like some wire mesh. Then they poured concrete. Then a bunch of people came and they defined the concrete where they drew little line measures in there to make it look like well-made tiles. And everything was smoothed out even. Everything was dry. Now everybody occupies each of those 4 corners. And everybody waits for a light and they go across and they have their crosswalks and there's a safe passage point. That's wealth builders.
That's right.
That's carrot bars.
Okay.
Someone surveyed and determined a vision. That was Dr. Sykes.
That's
You
beautiful.
see?
And that's what I mean about you breaking these things down in such a simple way that everybody can get. I wanted to talk about faith for a second. And
Yes,
you know,
sir.
according to the definition, this is just an online definition, but it said complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Complete trust and confidence in someone or something. So it doesn't have to be a person here. And, you know, it can be an event. It can be, you know, the future of abundance that we're supposed to have. And I don't want to challenge anybody's belief systems. In fact, this is just, I just, as I mentioned before, I study world religion, so I dig into many different holy books. But a lot of us remember a story, a very important story in the Bible, where Moses, and he parted the sea so that him and, you know, his Gentiles could get away from the impending doom that they faced. Well,
Right.
According to the Kabbalah, it's written a little bit differently. So in the Kabbalah, it's written that Moses didn't part the Red Sea. Now the sea was parted, but Moses didn't do it. It was one of his Gentiles, and I forget the name of this brother, but he walked in up to his waist, and nothing happened. And then he walked in up to his chest, nothing still happened. So he walked in and he was neck deep in water, nothing occurred. It wasn't till he walked and he was ready to completely submerge himself. He was ready to die for what he believed, for what he had faith, for his level of faith. He was willing to face imminent death. And at that moment, when he got into the point where he's about to breathe water up his nose and drown, the sea parted. And I just thought, you know, that was a very interesting, twist to what we read in the Bible. And I'm not saying one version is right and one version is wrong. I'm just using it as an example. And you can see examples in all holy books about the power of faith. What they say, faith can move mountains, and it's like, so we can do what is considered in this world to be metaphysical things with the power of faith. And I just wanted to touch on that because I think that that's so important when you said faith it until you make it, and there we go again, having complete trust and confidence in our mission and in our objective and the fact that we're going to get there, is I just wanted to say, touch on that a little bit. I thought that was so important, but I do want to bring it back to you, sir.
Brother, you just described wealth builders again. Are we there? Okay. You just described, even with the information from the Kabbalah, you just described wealth builders once again.
Wow.
You see, because what were we drowning in? We were drowning in a system that we were taught benefited us, but it was no benefit to us at all. It actually made things worse than we could have ever imagined, because it was waxing a whole nother percentage of the population wealthy while it was taking advantage of the poor and the impoverished. And we were drowning in it. So we jumped on a path that, look, death is sweeter than slavery. Death is sweeter than tyranny. Death is sweeter than oppression, because there's got to be something better than this, and I don't see a way.
Wow. As Sherry Brown would say, come on, somebody.
You're walking. It's chest high. Okay, you're walking. Then it's neck high. You're walking. Now it's almost in your nostrils and eyes. He said, look, I just don't see another way. And in your crying out in that moment, here comes an opportunity.
Wow.
Because carrot bars, you can't find it. It has to find you. And if anyone understands any religion, any world religion, any revealed religion, any culture, you understand e-commerce, because e-commerce has to be offered to you. You had to be invited to this program. Wow. And you had to join it to benefit from it. You see, that's e-commerce. That's not multi-level marketing. That's e-commerce, right? And you move in it. And just when it looked like you had no option, here comes your sponsor. Here comes my sponsor. Here comes their sponsors. Because you cannot choose carrot bars. It has to choose you. But you had to be ready to receive it.
Right.
And conditions readied us first. And conditions and circumstances will ready those to come. So those friends, those loved ones, those people you introduced the opportunity to that said, no, it's not for me, I'm not ready. That only meant not now. Circumstances will make that happen.
Right. It reminds me
that seed will part, because as you produce the wedge, guess what happens? You have people behind you that will follow by the millions.
Yes, sir. I was just going to say, it reminds me of a term that says, many are called, but few will be chosen.
That's a fact.
And I just want to tell affiliates that, like, you are in charge of letting the people know. It doesn't mean every person is going to be ready right now. It doesn't mean every person is ever going to be ready. Your job is not to determine whether or not they're ready. Your job is to spread the message. That's what I do. I can respect about missionaries is not to say what they're teaching or what they're not teaching. Forget about all that. It's the fact that they are willing to step out on faith and to go to some of these dangerous territories, some of these remote parts of the world, and spread what their message of personal truth. And so I think in a sense, we are similar to those missionaries because we are spreading a truth. And it is our version of truth, just to be respectful to everyone else. But our version of truth is backed up by every tool that we need to help with the convincing process. Meaning, what's your favorite news channel? CNN. Okay, I can show you some clips on CNN that are telling us about the recession, that are telling us about wealthy buying gold, that are telling us about a possible depression that's coming. And I can find that on any other news station that people prefer. So right now we have in our hands the so-called evidence that people would need to be able to move forward. And I just say so-called because I realize that certain people see credibility coming from different channels. Maybe you say Fox is full of crap, but RT is everything. Okay, well, let's turn to RT and see what they have about financial literacy right now. So what I'm saying is we have all of the tools and information we need right in our corner right now to help with the convincing process. Remember when Yahshua was doing it, or Jesus, he didn't have any of this. He didn't have CNN. He didn't have the internet. He didn't have Facebook. You know, he had a mount and, you know, a few coins. And, you know, he was able to launch something that still moves forward to this day. Christianity to this day is still one of the biggest, most encompassing religions in the world, along with Islam. So, and I mean, that's another thing. You know, these are people that came with a mission. Just some of the best networkers of all time can be looked at. Some of these, you know, prophets and just important, whatever significance we give to them and we believe that they have, we should also look at the fact that they were able to do this with so limited technologies. It's like they didn't even have a car. You know, you're on a camel. People talk about, I want to live like Jesus. Well, I don't see you pulling up on a camel. You know, you're in a Cadillac. Your Cadillac don't look much like a camel. No, but I'm just joking. But, you know.
Whether you refer to them as Oshun or Ra or Amun Ra or Hotep, look, you can refer to them as Ty Best.
Right.
The man said, any man can count the amount of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the amount of apples in a seed. Mm. And you just spoke volumes to this work. Success is never dependent upon the numbers. It just depends on one who's willing to carry the seed. So when people say, hey, don't kill the messenger for the message, you know, look, I'm just bringing a message. We bring a message. Everybody's not gonna get on the road right away, but everybody who's anybody at a particular time will get on this road.
Right. And
it's inevitable.
I just think it's important too to realize that what we're doing for people has it's twofold, because yes, we are informing people, but they no longer have an excuse to say that they were not informed. So that's why I think it's good to keep watering the seed that we planted, because now we've put a burden of responsibility on them with having this truth. So I would just say to everybody, don't just give them the truth and run off, you know, because maybe that's not enough. Maybe that truth needs to be nurtured some so they can take the full responsibility of hearing it. Because, you know, according to, I mean, and this is in a lot of holy texts, we're only going to be judged for the things that we don't know. So when you pass this information on to someone, you're also passing them a great responsibility. So I say that it's important to continue to work with each one of these people we tell this information to, so we can help them to evolve into the information that we've given them. Because like you said, not everybody is going to be ready. With all the misprogramming and bad education we got, we've been lied to about everything under the sun our entire life. And now the first time you reveal truth to someone, you know, it might not be seen that way. You know, it may not be accepted as the truth initially. So I think it's just important for us to work with. In other words, I say if you are going to tell somebody about this opportunity, I would say also have the decency to be willing to follow up with them and cater to their evolvement into this new information that completely is against everything that they've learned. And sorry about that.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now there's another side of this. I know the time is limited. It's on us, and I really appreciate you. But brother, look, the flip side to this in sharing the information is the reward of understanding and walking in it. See, we look for the culture to merge the economics. I think I have that. I'm sorry, I can't even find the board now. I was going to show the board oh, here it is. I think this was the board you were referring to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, in the stream.
Yeah.
So in the center there, that's the culture, because we find the commonality, passion and dream and income. So that shaded inside is the culture or the community. that's brought together, that amalgamates, that merges, right? And it produces that culture or that community. So what I wanted to say is, when those three things are met, and when you start attaining the comfort, the security, the luxury, the money, the good homes and friendships and all walks of life, then the question becomes, now what? So now you find yourself asking the question, the same question that I asked the wealthy, the comfortable, the celebrities, the athletes and entertainers. I asked them, how do you want to be remembered?
Ooh.
How do you want to be remembered? You've accomplished all this here, so I can't ask you if you keep your financial options open. Clearly you did well enough to be where you are.
Right.
But how do you want to be remembered? What legacy do you want to leave? What do you hope to accomplish before the period is put at your life, into your life? You see, how can you do it with what you have? And most people who have achieved like that, the one thing they do not have is time. Because someone still controls what they do. You know, so they'll say, if there's one thing I could do, I get my time back. Well, if you got your time back, what would you do at that time? You had all this in place. What would you do? You find that one thing, and you realize that money is just a byproduct to service. Because ultimately, that's where we're going. That's what made last night so profound, because we found ourselves collectively striving to serve because we've been blessed with much. So to whom much is given, much is required. You've been blessed with much. Your understanding, your CEM rather. Man, brother, now you're sharing a platform with the world and showing that this is a proven system that works.
That's right, brother.
And you're giving other ingredients by which people can work with. You know, so everybody can see that, number one, none of us fell out of heaven. We were raised out of the hell of America and other parts of the world, just like the next individual. And we started this quest, each of us by ourselves, making a decision. And once we made the decision, then the anatomy comes in. The toe bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone. You understand? So all this thing grows.
Right.
And we take on a full body, a full community. And now we have the complete armor to affect change, because our desire is to be the leaders that servants are. We live in a world of abundance, man.
Brilliant.
I thank you for this time.
Oh, thank you. And the note I wanted to leave, I just wanted to share a slight story. So I was building with this brother, and he's like, yeah, you study all this different stuff. Have you ever come across studies that suggest that when you die, that's it, it's over? And I said, yeah, there's been one or two that I've come across where they, you know, that's what they believe. And he said, aren't you afraid that could be true? And I said, no. And he said, why? Because you have faith in one spirituality or another? I said, no. I said, because I would only be worried about that if I didn't plan to leave a legacy here. You see, you know, I just wanted to wrap it up on that one for everybody. So everybody, you know where we want to see y'all today. 10:45, make sure you're on that power call, because this is only a slight version. This is the mentees, this is the students' version of the power call. The power call is where we go to get our teaching from. So once again, This is Khonsu, Hotep, Atum, and brother Eric Ture Muhammad, and this is the unofficial pre-power call warm-up show. I just want to tell everybody there's nothing more precious in this world than time, and we thank you generously for your time. And with that being said, Wadu and Awu.